It's a Voron 2.4. Been 6 months since I built it. Let's take a look and see how things are going. Stick around. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Scott, Edge of 3D. You know that already. You clicked on the channel, it told you who I am. You're on a 3D printing channel. You know what this is. It is a Voron 2.4. This one happens to be a LDO Motors kit. I ran into Jason from LDO at Open Sauce in San Francisco last year, and we're sitting at a picnic table chatting. He asked me if he'd sent me a printer, and no, you haven't sent me one. So a couple weeks later, this shows up, and also happened to be right about the time we launched the fiber online for polymakers. So I had a bunch of that material on hand, and this is a fiber on Voron 2.4 Revision D. We'll get into what materials I used and what places on it here in a minute, but it's the Revision D from Voron, from LDO Motors. I'm gonna look over here right quick. It's got the Leviathan board, which is LDO's board specifically for the Voron printers. The Nighthawk tool head and everything else. I mean, you can jump onto Fabrico, West 3D. I'll put links in the video description down below. They're not affiliate links in any way, shape, or form. Pick whoever you want. I do a lot of work with Fabrico right here. So, you know, if you support Hector, great. If you choose to go with West 3D, great. They're both good companies. Anyway, that out of the way. So it's not been a total honeymoon with this printer, but not due to anything with, it had nothing to do with the kit, LDO, or anything like that. Started off, I built it exactly per the kit, per the instructions, with the exception of the X gantry, and that is, it's a machined aluminum X gantry. I have absolutely no idea where it came from or anything else. I think it came from Fabrico. It's an ultra lightweight gantry, so I don't know any more than that about it, other than it's machined aluminum, it's a lightweight gantry. I don't have titanium backers or anything like that on here. The tool head, the original tool head Hotend was a Revo. And in fact, here's the first iteration of the Revo here. If I can get this all unscrewed, that's what came with the kit. We'll get into this in a minute. The problem with the Revo is I wanted to print higher temperature materials, so I built it with the Revo, printed a few things, and then I changed it out for a Rapido, which the Rapido works good, but the Rapido still isn't rated quite as high as I needed. Tried this Dragon something or another, Z something. Yeah, that was garbage. I think I printed one time with it. In the meantime, I had ordered the Revo high temp, high flow Hotend. And that's actually what I've printed on with the most for close to the 6 month I've been printing with it. But a couple weeks ago, it had a print that didn't stick. And of course, it's PET carbon fiber material. And you can see there, yeah, it's the heat break's still good. That's about the extent of it. I'm going to eventually try and get all that chiseled off there, but when you have a specialized material like that and you make a Hotend look like this, it's hard to get it clean. So now it's running and you know, I know it's not Voron supported. They've got their reasons, but I just happen to have one. It's running a Mosquito Magnum in there. And I like the Mosquito Magnum. It doesn't heat up as fast as this Voron, but it only costs me $6 to $8 for a nozzle as opposed to $70 for a nozzle. So yeah, I'll stick with that for the time being. That's been the only other thing I did do with it is I had a Chaotic Labs CNC tap, and I installed that on there. It has worked fantastically, but when I was changing the hot end over to the Mosquito last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember exactly when now, I'd inadvertently unplugged the cable out of the sensor on the Chaotic Labs tap. So when I put it all back together, I didn't test my end stops. It had just worked, and I didn't look to see if there was a little blue light back here. There is now, but there wasn't then. And this thing takes off and it goes to do its home for the first time, and it jams the tap into the bed. And if you've done anything with tap, they only need to move about, well, if I can get it to move, they only need to move about that much right there. Just barely perceptible amount of movement. And in the CNC, Chaotic Lab CNC tap, there's a little stop there to prevent it from going any further. Well, when you have 4 steppers driving it down into the bed, it sheared that stop right off. So now I have a tap that if it decides to, it'll tap itself all the way off the rail. See that? You can, and then little ball bearings go everywhere out of the carriage. So I haven't changed it out because it's still only, when it taps, it does exactly like it's supposed to. I have another Chaotic Labs tap I can put in there, but it's working, so I've just let it go. That's been other than that, it's just worked. I just pulled the data off Clipper. 291 hours, 34 minutes of total print time. Longest print's 12 hours, 8 minutes. Average print time's 1 hour and 16 minutes. Says I've used 2,300 meters of filament and done 228 jobs. And it's had a few failures. I mean, obviously right here's one. It's not perfect, but right now it's got just a standard 0.8 millimeter nozzle on it because I was printing. I needed a couple new garbage cans for over in the office, and I grabbed a spool of Polylite PETG and printed 2 garbage cans that filled the entire print volume on the thing, and there was still some left on there, so I had to print a benchy for this video. The other things that are different on this one is I'm using Steve Build's modified filament path entry, where it brings it in at an angle through the back here, and it has this clamp over here. And then something that, unfortunately, the camera's not going to pick it up real well, and I can't move the printer because it's kind of heavy. Let's do this. You can see this device up here, maybe. Let's just go ahead and try to give this a turn. You can kind of see this right here. It's an inline filament dryer, and I'll put links and information to that in the video description down below. Again, somebody that I ran into at Open Sauce last year in San Francisco, and he had a prototype of these. I was really interested in it, so right before he did his launch on them, he sent me a couple of them, and I've had the one installed on this printer here since day one. It works great for high temp filaments, PET carbon fiber, PPC, that sort of stuff, because you can get the temperature up hot enough in it to boil out the moisture as it passes through there. And in fact, if I can find the picture, I'll show you a picture. When I'm running high temp filament and I have the temperature cranked way up on this, you can actually see moisture droplets forming in the where the filament goes in is also the exhaust for the dryer, so you can actually see it pushing moisture out through there. It'll condense inside that tube as it comes out of the heat into the air-conditioned room, and you'll see little droplets in there. So that's still something that I play with. I don't typically use it on standard ABS, ASA. I've not really printed anything else with this lower than that. I don't think I've even ever printed PLA in here. But ABS I print some, a lot of ASA and ABS, and then of course the engineering filaments. And this does most of my prints for my testing stuff. So now the materials that I used on this. At the time that I built this, it was probably the only one in existence that was all Fiberon, only because Fiberon had just launched, and as a Polymaker partner, I was privileged to have it before everybody else, quite a lot of it actually. So internally, everything inside the chamber is PPS carbon fiber, with the exception of these pieces right here, which are PET glass fiber, and the only reason I did those is because of the color. I just wanted something colored, a little bit different color for contrast, and so it's a gray. And the only other thing I had to change out in there was this latch right here. I did that latch originally in PPC carbon fiber. The problem is that filament has no give to it whatsoever. That's the stuff that, well, let me see here. I've got one right here from one of the shows. Somebody called this a bar trick, but this is the PPS carbon fiber. I think I said PPC. PPS carbon fiber, and it's the stuff that sounds like metal. So, and in my testing, it has zero flex, zero give, very stable material. But you can't hit it with a shock load because it has no strength for that. I'll put a link to the videos testing that up here somewhere. So I had to change out that switch. That's a PET carbon fiber lever here. That way it's got a little bit of give. Other than that, everything else inside of this chamber, oh, the idlers up here, they are also the PET glass fiber. So just because I wanted gray, same as you can see here. The skirt, everything outside, all the panel clips, the doors, which are off right now because I didn't want the glare on there, those are all done in PET carbon fiber and work perfectly. I don't have any complaints with the machine whatsoever. The electronics work well. Building it was follow step by step. You follow the Voron build guide, use the LDO supplemental build guide because there's things that LDO does differently. Follow the build guides, the printer goes together and it works perfectly. I am switching this out to the Galileo 2 extruder in the next day or two. I've printed all the parts out for it. I did opt to print some of the parts in ABS now. The main reason for the Fiberon stuff was to have at 3D Printopia just to show off the printer and the Fiberon, but they're not a cheap printer. They're 350 size. They have 250, 300, 350. I have the 350 size. When you get down to the 250 size printer, you can buy off-the-shelf printers that have the same capacity that are Core XY. Obviously, they're not the flying gantry, but I can't say. I personally prefer to build my own printer. I know it inside and out. When I need to fix something on it, I know how it was put together, how to take it apart, how to put it back together. That's a personal preference thing. With the Voron, with the level of engineering on the Voron printers, they've taken most of the problems out. They've engineered the problems out. As long as you follow the build guide and you build it to their specifications, you go through all the steps to get it tuned properly, it'll just work. Granted, they need tune up from time to time. A couple months into this one, I had to go around and tighten up some belts. But I've also built a Trident, which I no longer have, and I regret that. I've got to get another one. I built a Trident, and that was all printed in ASA, and I had to adjust things on it a few times before it finally settled in. This printer right here, I've adjusted it one time, and everything is settled in. I don't know if that's because of the PPS carbon fiber motion system in it, or the quality of the materials that the LDO kit provides. Combination of the two, probably. So that's it. That's the LDO Voron 2.4 Revision D. Like I say, this was supplied to me by LDO Motors, Jason, and it's my go-to printer right now for absolutely everything. I use it all the time. It's a great printer. Links down below to West 3D and Fabrico where you can order these. A lot of times you got to do them on pre-order because they sell out as quick as they come in. But and again, those are not affiliate links. I get nothing for it. You know, pick whoever you prefer to order from. So that's it on this, and we're going to get back to testing some stuff. I've been doing a lot of work on my testing rigs and been refining my programming for my testing rig. Going to do a video on that here right after I get done shooting this one and editing it. Going to go over the testing rig, how it works, and the methodology behind some of the stuff I've done on it. So stick around if you want to see that. But LDO Voron 2.4. Voron's an awesome printer. LDO is an absolutely amazing company. The quality of stuff that Jason sends out in these kits I built a FizeTech kit right before I built this one. I still have this one. I don't have the FizeTech kit. Gave it away, actually. They both ended up producing Voron 2.4 350s. They both printed great. This was a far superior kit. The little bit of extra money is worth it, in my opinion. You be your own judge. It's your money, spend it how you want. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're right on the cusp of hitting the 5,000 subscribers, and LDO is supplying some things for me to give away on a 5,000 subscriber stream. That's probably going to be happening sooner rather than later. Hit the little notification bell thingy so you know when I drop that video. Give this a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below. That helps the algorithm. And subscribe to my channel. It all helps. Again, I thank you for sticking around. Love each and every one of you. And as always, peace out.